In this video, I'm going to take 10 minutes of your time to tell you useless information about cars, which you'll probably forget about as soon as you click off this video. Let's go. In 1929, the first ever Monaco Grand Prix winner was a British spy. Yes, you heard that right. Real James Bond stuff. William Grosvenor Williams, behind the wheel of a Bugatti Type 35B, dominated the streets of Monte Carlo. But his story didn't end with racing. During World War II, he became an operative for the British Special Operations. Tragically, he was captured and executed in 1943. What a Hollywood script. The Rolls-Royce Spirit of Ecstasy was sculpted in 1911 and is based on Eleanor Thornton, a secret lover of Lord Montagu. Their affair, hidden due to class divides, inspired Lord Montagu to immortalise her beauty on a Rolls-Royce hood. He set a trend on almost every Rolls-Royce going forward. Owning a Bugatti Veyron has never been cheap. Take the tyres for example. A set costs £25,000. Designed to withstand speeds over 250 miles an hour, they'll last just 15 minutes at top speed before they wear out. And here's the kicker. Bugatti recommends swapping the wheels too, costing an additional £50,000. If Bugatti owners are paying 25 grand for tyres, subscribing here will cost you absolutely nothing, and it will last you longer and all. Spare a couple moments, show some appreciation, and hit that sub button below. In 1985, the entire United States has two cars. Just two, with endless open land and hardly a road in sight. You'd think they'd never come even close to each other, and yet, somehow, these two drivers managed to do the impossible. They crashed into each other. It's almost impressive, really. The iconic gull-wing doors of the Mercedes 300 SL wasn't just a design statement, they were a practical solution to a problem. The car's lightweight tubular frame was so rigid that there wasn't enough space for traditional doors. Engineers had to think outside the box, literally, and came up with a now legendary upward opening gull-wing design. Peugeot was never meant to be a car maker. They started in 1810 making coffee grinders and pepper mills. Later they moved on to steel goods, bicycles and eventually cars. Their first petrol-powered vehicle in 1890 was a steam-powered tricycle. The first person to ever be nicked by a speeding ticket was Walter Arnold in 1896 for driving a outrageous 8 miles an hour in a 2 mile an hour zone. A police officer chased him down on a bicycle and Arnold was fined 1 shilling. Imagine being remembered for going slower than a modern mobility scooter. The way the Ford GT40 got its name was from its height, just 40 inches tall. Built to crush Ferrari at Le Mans, it became a racing legend. But the modern Ford GT, it's grown to 43 inches tall, thanks to safety regulations. Technically, it's now a GT43. In the 1970s, a French aristocrat buried 40 rare cars, including Bugattis, Ferraris, all to avoid taxes. For decades, the cars rotted underground until they were unearthed and sold for millions. A desperate and utterly bizarre way to avoid tax. The BRM with its H16 engine may be the most bizarre F1 car ever, with 2 flat 8 engines stacked together creating a 16-cylinder monstrosity. It was powerful but so heavy and unreliable the mechanics dreaded working on it. Its only victory came in 1966 when Jim Clark drove it to win the US Grand Prix, and just listen to the sound of this H16. Porsche's start in car manufacturing is tied to World War II and Ferdinand Porsche's wartime activities. As an engineer, he designed military vehicles like the Tiger tank and the VW Beetle, commissioned by Adolf Hitler. After the war, with Ferdinand imprisoned, his son Ferry used surplus Beetle parts built from his father to build the Porsche 356 to save the company. What began as a survival project became a surprise hit, transforming Porsche into a legendary sports car brand. In the 1950s, a Mercedes engineer was testing prototype vehicle braking systems and lost control during the skids, prompting the creation of anti-lock braking systems. First introduced in 1978, ABS revolutionised vehicle safety and became a standard feature in modern cars. Ferrari's F2004 F1 car was so dominant that even its engineers didn't fully understand why it was so fast. In testing, it was lapping 2 seconds quicker than anything else. They even had to check the stopwatches were faulty. A perfect combination of V10 power, aerodynamics, Michael Schumacher and Bridgestone tyres made it unbeatable. In 2004, Jaguar embedded a £300,000 diamond into its F1 car to promote Ocean's 12. You could never guess it, but the car crashed on the first lap at the lowest hairpin and the diamond vanished. Despite searches, it was never found, and proof that some PR stunts don't pay off. The TVR Speed 12 was so powerful with over 1,000 horsepower that its creator, Peter Wheeler, cancelled it after testing it himself, declaring it too dangerous for anyone mortal to drive. He made the only road legal prototype one of the most infamous cars never sold. At the 1955 Monaco Grand Prix, Alberto Ascari's Lancia D50 plunged into the harbour. Ascari escaped with minor injuries and the car was fished out. It remains one of F1's most iconic and bizarre crashes. In the 80s and 90s, Japan's Midnight Club raced illegally on highways with cars exceeding 200 miles an hour. A crash in 1999 injured bystanders, breaking their strict safety code and forcing the group to disband. Their legacy lives on. In 2011 and 2014, Mazda recalled the Mazda 6 due to infestations of yellow stack spiders. These pests nestled into fuel tanks, posing a fire hazard and probably scared the life out of few customers. Jeep got its name for the military designation GP for general purpose. Over time, GP slurred into Jeep, just like HMMWV turned into Humvee or Hummer. Cruise control was invented by Ralph Tito, who was completely blind. Frustrated by his lawyer's inconsistent driving speeds, Tito designed a system to maintain steady speeds, one of the most practical inventions in motoring history. The phrase pedal to the metal wasn't born from racing. It originated in trucking culture, describing fully pressing the accelerator to maximise speed. Over time, it became a universal term, pushing any vehicle to its limits. On the original Ferrari California, the brake lights aren't on the signature circular tail lights. Why? US regulations prohibit brake lights on movable parts like a trunk lid. Ferrari overlooked this rule, so they slapped a pair of awkward brake lights onto the bumper as a last-minute fix. Not exactly Ferrari's finest moment. The 2003 Saab 9-3 was built on GM's Epsilon platform, giving them access to GM's stereo systems. But Saab, being Saab, decided to design their own fibre optic system from scratch. The result, a mediocre system that nearly impossible to upgrade. The fastest speeding ticket ever issued, a driver in Texas was clocked at 242 miles an hour in a Koenigsegg CCX. The fine was only £200. If you was to do that in the UK, you'd be put in prison for 25 years. In 1982, the DeLorean Motor Company collapsed after founder John DeLorean was caught in an FBI sting trying to smuggle £220 of cocaine. He planned to use the drug money to save his failing business. The company folded, leaving the iconic DMC-12 as its sole legacy. The ultra-luxurious Pagani Zonda features bespoke everything except for the HVAC controls. They're lifted straight from a Rover 25 compact car. Even their best brands cut corners somewhere. The first production cars with factory turbos debuted in 1962, the Chevrolet Corvair. While innovative, these systems were so finicky and unreliable that most owners ditched them for simpler engines. A rough start for technology that now is everywhere. In the 1960s, Chrysler made 50 turbine-powered cars available to the public in a real-world testing program. They were capable of running on nearly anything flammable, including perfume and tequila. But most were destroyed after the program ended, leaving only 9 survivors as relics of a futuristic dream. 2025 will mark the first time Mercedes has raced in Formula 1 without a world champion in their lineup since 1954. From Fangio to Schumacher to Hamilton, they've always had one at the wheel. With Hamilton leaving for Ferrari, the Silver Arrows are entering a new era. The 1990 Japanese Grand Prix was the last F1 race where no European driver stood on the podium. The top 3 spots were Nelson Piquet, Roberto Moreno, both being Brazilian, and Agari Suzuki from Japan, a rare moment of global representation. While Finnish legends like Kimi Räikkönen and Mika Häkkinen are household names in F1, the first Finn to receive a WDC trophy was actually Nina Rindt. She accepted the 1970s World Championship on behalf of her late husband, Joshua Rindt, who tragically died before the season ended. The world's first real automobile race, held in 1895, had a top speed of just 15 miles an hour. Hardly thrilling by today's standards, but back then it must have felt like lightning. If you could drive to the moon at 60 miles an hour, it would take less than 6 months to get there, just as fast as it takes to get around the M25. Strangely, nitrous oxide isn't flammable. Instead, it breaks down under high heat and pressure to release oxygen, which boosts combustion when combined with extra fuel. Reversing at 10 miles an hour feels nerve-wracking enough to most of us, but a stunt driver once managed to hit 104 miles an hour. in reverse. The car was a modified Chevrolet Corvette, specifically tuned to handle the extreme challenge. For perspective, that's faster backwards than most sports cars going forwards. If you've ever thought regular car paint was too ordinary, Rolls-Royce has the solution. Paint mixed with crushed diamonds. Yes, actual diamonds. It's called Diamond Stardust and it cost more than £20,000. The Mitsubishi 3000 GT had a party trick that wouldn't look out of place in a Bond film, an adjustable exhaust with a silent mode. At a press of a button, the car could switch from a roaring beast to near silence. Ideal for sneaking out unnoticed or keeping your neighbours very happy at night. And finally, race car spelt backwards is race car. Useless, just like you watching this whole entire video. Thank you so much for watching.